It's time for the District 4 Report, presented to you by Professor Diggs himself, only on PilePointBearcats.com. Class begins now.
For the last time this season, thank you to our friends in Pilot Point for queuing me in. I am the Professor Matt Diggs, and it is the season finale of the District 4 3A Report. A little bit late, but as a professor will tell you, better getting it in late than never. But if you're in my class, I have a no late policy, so we'll just have to enjoy the inherent hypocrisy of that. But thank you for joining me on the District 4 3A Report. It's been a month. We've had a chance to breathe. It's been about 5 weeks since the state championships, and this week we are going to be having realignment, which is why I'm up against the deadline of getting this episode out, and it's like, well, if we're going to talk about the District 4 3A Report in the season finale as it relates to realignment, we better get it done now. But let's go back, and then we go forward as we do in the District 4 3A Report. And you may have forgotten about it, but 5 or 6 weeks ago, we had the championship game in District 3A. We had Lorena taking on Brock, and it was a fantastic football game. And if you remember the District 4 3A Report leading into that game, I predicted Lorena to win this game, and everything kind of happened the way I thought it would happen. Lorena was just a more dominant team in the trenches. And you have to give credit to Brock. Brock played the perfect game. They had no turnovers. They won the time of possession. They converted third downs on a better rate than Lorena did. But Lorena was just able to win the trench battles and was able to execute in more specific formats to win this game pretty convincingly, 35-18. Lorena was up 14-6 at halftime, but pulled ahead in the second half. The big guns came out to play for both teams. When you look at Lorena, the MVP, everybody was talking about, left that game talking about Rhett Hansen. I mean, he ran the ball 26 times for 193 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was able to gut out tough yards. He was able to gash big plays. And Ryan Abel had a fantastic, efficient game at quarterback. He did a little more than they needed him to do. 12 for 17, 184 yards, and a touchdown for Lorena. For Brock, you had Tyler Moody, a good day. He threw for 2 touchdowns, 14 for 25 and 171 yards. Our man Cutter Wilson, we've been talking about him in this District 4 3A report, had a fantastic way to end the season, 24 carries for 175 yards and a touchdown. Eli Pott, big game, 3 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. And Nathan Jones, the big guy, 5 catches for 26 yards and a touchdown as well. It was a absolute just a battle, and Lorena was one of the best football teams when you look at what they were able to do their whole season in the games they lost and who they were willing to play. They just had a fantastic football season, and you got to give them all the credit in the world for defeating Brock pretty convincingly, 3-score game, and defeating them. I think Brock is going to be back. I think Brock is going to be back better than ever, and they're going to have a very high tradition. So Coach Mathis able to get in there his very first season and have the success he did. We tip our hat to the Brock Eagles this year for extending the District 4 3A report all the way through the first week of February. So congratulations to the Brock Eagles for doing that. This week, we are going to have realignment. And what realignment is, for those of you who are unaware, and I'm sure most of you who are listening to this are aware, but for those who are not, every 2 years in October, they take the numbers from all of the districts. They get their enrollment. About a month later, they give us the information now in a more transparent fashion of where the cutoffs are going to be. So we know everybody who is going to be in 3A Division 1. We know that we're going to lose some teams. We know we're going to get some teams. And this core 8, all 8 teams that we are used to in District 4 3A report, we got Brock, we got Bowie, we got Boyd, Paradise, Peaster, Pilot Point, Ponder, and Whitesboro. all of them will be in 3A again. But what we don't know is what is going to happen as far as realignment goes. So this is just the best guess. And this is not official. I don't have any sort of ins with the UIL, even though I should. But they keep that thing completely under wraps, and I appreciate because I enjoy the surprise at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning when everything comes out. We're able to look at things and go, oh, that's happening, that's happening. Starts at 6A, and they go through. And a lot of the changes that we've seen in Region 1 and things that happen in West Texas do end up impacting DFW and other areas is a lot of the Concho Valley teams like Wall and San Angelo TLC ended up dropping down to 3A Division 2, which leaves a glut of teams, or really a lack of teams, I shouldn't say a glut, a lack of teams up in the Panhandle area and up in West Texas. So there are probably 10 teams that you would consider far West Texas teams. You've got Dalhart, Amarillo River Road, you've got Bushland, Muleshoe, and Shallow Water, and then you've got Slayton, Brownfield, La Mesa, Denver City, and Kermit. So you have to ask yourself, okay, if you've got those 10 teams, and that's about as far west, if you kind of draw a line from Pampa all the way down to San Angelo, and then over, those are your 10 teams over that way. And, how do you divide that up? Well, if you look at kind of the border, you have Slayton and Shallow Water, the two Lubbock area teams that are just right next to each other, really. You got to draw a line somewhere. So how do you draw that line? Do you create a 4-team district with kind of this little square with Kermit, La Mesa, Brownfield, and Denver City? Or do you take the nearest team to that and make a 5-team district because we got 10 teams out in West Texas? The UIL can do anything they want to. There's no specific formats. We've seen plenty of 4-team districts over the last few years of them breaking up into Division 1 and Division 2. So that's certainly possible. We might see Dalhart, Muleshoe, Bushland, and River Road in a 4-team district, and they always have the opportunity to play a round-robin format where they play, 6 games against each other and just play twice. And I've seen that done out in East Texas when there was Lufkin, Longview, Tyler, and the Tyler schools. They all round robin to each other. That's an option. But generally speaking, the way the UIL likes to do it, and sometimes they'll put a little feeler into the superintendents, and sometimes they don't. But if you have 2 5-team districts, then they can play each other in non-district, and they're looking for 6 non-district games. They have the opportunity to play those other 5 schools, as well as other 5 and 6-team district schools that are within that area and other classifications. So usually when you have a 5-team district, you're going to play a 6-team schedule. 1 team will be on a bye every single week. So you'll have that first, you'll try to get 5 games in, and you'll have a bye. You'll try to get your first 6 games in from 0, we call week 1 now. We used to call it 0 week. So week 1 to week 6, you're going to get your first 6 games in, and then you'll get your bye wherever it falls in that 6-team district. So that's the way I think that will end up happening. I think you're going to split that up into the 5 teams that are kind of to the north. And even though Shallow Water and Slayton are, 20, 25 miles from each other, you got to draw the line. And we see that in small schools all the time with like Archer City and Windthorst are right next to each other, and sometimes in different regions. And we've seen it with the UIL. They've split a ISD into 2 different regions before. Cy-Fair ISD and Houston ISD comes to mind, where they split that up and put it into 2 different regions, Region 2 and Region 3. So if you have those 10 schools, now you have to have the next district. And when you kind of look at what's left in that area that was not in District 4, 3A, you've got Breckenridge, you've got Clyde, you've got Jim Ned, you've got Iowa Park, and you've got Vernon. And bringing Clyde over from West Texas, further West Texas into that grouping. So what do you do with those schools? You got another 5. So you could do that. You could have District 3 be a 5-team district with Breckenridge, Clyde, Jim Ned, Iowa Park, and Vernon, and then have the same teams that you had in District 4-3A last time. That is certainly an option on the table. But what I think is going to happen, because you want to start to equalize this, is I consider Brock and Peaster kind of a package deal. And if you look at the way things have been realigned in baseball and in the sports where they do all 32 districts, Brock is in this kind of pairing, and they've traditionally ended up going west. Our friends at Big Country Sports, we've had Brandon on before. They consider Brock to be a big country school out there. Inaccurately, might I add, they are a DFW school, but nonetheless, they do consider Brock a big country school. So I think if you take Peaster and Brock and you put it out there, you've got 7 teams over there. And then you can have a 6-team district with the rest of the teams, which would be Bowie, Boyd, Pilot Point, Paradise, Ponder, and Whitesboro. You then do have the opportunity to bring over some more of the other Metroplex schools, depending on how things work out in East Texas. But I do think that Pilot Point will be part of District 4-3A next year. And who will be joining them, we don't know. But our friends at the Pilot Point Bearcat Central, my official projection for you is if we're going to do the District 4-3A report for one more season, you will be in it. But I don't think our friends will be in it. I think that we're going to see Brock and Peaster move out west with the big country schools. And I think we're going to have a more DFW-centered that northern Wichita Falls area, or southern Wichita Falls area, northern DFW area with these schools. So that's what I think, and we'll all find out how wrong we are 9 a.m. Thursday morning when UIL realignment is released to the masses. So be prepared for the website to break down, although to their credit, last realignment, they were on top of that. They were ready for the demand. We're going to potentially in the DFW area have some bad weather on Thursday, so be very careful if you're a coach and you're getting out and finding out which direction you're going to go and finding out how many non-district games you have to fill, because these are big deals. I mean, you have to have so many contingencies. Last realignment with the 8-team district, you only had 3 non-district games. There's a scenario where Brock could be in a 6-team district if they split Brock and Peaster. Now Brock is looking for 5 non-district games. In all of their near area schools, the former District 4-3A, if that's an 18 district, they're only looking for 3. If it's 7, they're looking for 4. And if it's 6, like I think it might be, they're looking for 5. And then if they're a 6-team district and District 4A is a 7-team district, then you may be having some kind of chaos when it comes to that, because they're looking for 4 non-district games, whereas District 4 is looking for 3. But I think we're going to get a 7-6 split, just my gut feeling on that. Again, this year, I have so many people to thank for District 4-3, the District 4-3A report. And since I did this show last, I've actually moved. I've realigned myself. I am now the DFW insider for high school sports. Inside High School Sports, they're on Channel 5 every week, so I'm going to get my free advertising in. Pat Doney and that crew, they've done a fantastic job entertaining you, going and getting highlights for all of the area sports, men's sports, women's sports, everything. They do a fantastic job, and I'm so blessed to get to be affiliated with them, and I look forward to waving their flag proudly in the District 4-3A report and beyond in the future. So thank you to my friends for Pilot Point for sponsoring this all year, tweaking and turning at the dials. I'm eternally grateful for your support and all of your technical expertise, because all I do is talking to a computer. My family comes out here and looks at me because I just have my laptop open and I'm just talking to it. I don't have a studio or anything, and you're probably thinking to yourself with the sound quality, yeah, we can tell, but the people at Pilot Point Studios make me sound like $1 million, so I thank them very much. So the season finale of the District 4-3A report is complete. It's a wrap. I am the Professor Matt Diggs. We'll see you next season for next year's District 4-3A report with an asterisk on it to be potentially named later based on the UIL's realignment. We'll see you down the road.
Well, see you later.